Kwaziwai vanhu veZimbabwe, salibonani abantu veZimbabwe. Ausheni, unjani utonu. Marhaba bikum wa salamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Shalom alaikum, velo yasu shebe min Yehuda. Bonjour Zimbabwe, a common Talibu. Hello folks, and how are you? My name is Gastaff Kativu, electronic engineer and specialist in aviation, oil and gas, and telecommunications. I am a returning expatriate, previously domiciled in the Middle East from 2007 to 2016, now permanently in Zimbabwe, and leading the CKD Campaign, which is a non-political party citizen movement pushing for a life in Zimbabwe. And I will be standing in as presidential candidate in 2016 presidential election and campaigning on the Zimbabwe Industrial Evolution, which is a book on Amazon.com/DP/1530-753511, entitled The CKD Campaign, Leadership After Robert Mugabe, the Zimbabwe Industrial Evolution. Mhosva Inoripwa Ubadalo Justice System. Fight against corruption. Step number 1 in fighting corruption by the new leader will be to dismiss, fire, or decommission the following institutions. A. All ZRP officers from the Special Constabulary to the Commissioner and replace with a well-trained citizen police of about 20% of the existing police force. Number B. RBZ and its employees and replace with the new Bank of Zimbabwe. C. Government Tender Board and replace with Specialized Citizen Tender Evaluation Committee. Number D. Harare City Council employees excluding health and fire services. Number E. Passport offices employees. And F. All school heads for both primary, secondary, public and private schools. And institute a new school head committee comprising 6 senior teachers and 6 average parents to run the schools. The above 5 institutions, together with ZANU-PF party, are the axis of corruption and general moral decadence in Zimbabwe. Corruption cannot be fought by Roman Dutch law when everybody knows that the mafia are thriving in Rome, which is the origin of Roman Dutch law, but that the new government will use extraordinary measures to fight corruption. The new government will repeal the current Roman Dutch law constitution and enact a new Zimbabwe constitution based on Zimbabwe traditions. Number 1, use of attorneys in courts. The use of attorneys will not be employed in courts but extraordinary measures where men and women of spirit like prophets, Madzibaba nemadzimai anemweya, and masvikiro amadlazi, among others, will be applied to prove guilt or innocence in crimes committed in the absence of evidence or witnesses, or where the suspect is refusing to own up to his commissions, which will result in Zimbabwe being a crimeless state, because no matter how smart a crime is committed, siyakutata mkwenyana, tinokubata mkwasha. Unlike Roman Dutch law, which cannot detect a criminal in the absence of evidence or witness, in which case the size of the police force required will be very small, about 20% of the existing police force. Serious crime suspects will be sent to men and women of spirit to determine if guilt or otherwise, and within 3 days a murder crime will be concluded, to the extent that nations will send suspects of crimes that have vexed them to the Great Zimbabwe for men and women of spirit to make determinations. Citizens are committing crimes with the understanding that if they clean their tracks and leave no evidence, no one will catch them. But this time around, men and women of spirit will catch and shame them. The new leader will add more work to prophets to be not only fishers of men, but fishers of perverts. Citizens of spirit will be paid a token thank you price than spend thousands of dollars in months of wildcard investigations. Number 2, closure of prisons. All jails will be closed and the inmates or convicts will be integrated on the job market to work from home, to pay for their crimes while at the same time taking care of their families in a system called Mhosva Inoripwa Ubadalo, where in cases like rape or gender violation, violators will not go to jail but will work and pay a fraction of their income to the victim for a time duration equal to the jail term. Number 3, upgrading of traditional chiefs into judges and magistrates. Mindful of the fact that the liberation struggle against imperialism was started, coordinated and led by priests, Masvikiro Amadlozi, and traditional leaders who were made up of but not limited to Mapondera, Mashayamo, Mashonganyika, Chitekeza, Chingaira, Chikomba, Gwavayana, Mangwendi and Seke, who were killed in battle, captured, executed, imprisoned and humiliated by the imperialists for fighting to defend their land, their subjects and African value system. But when Uhuru came in 1980, it came without the pre-colonial jurisdiction of the chiefs, land and responsibilities. In view of the role played by the traditional leaders, the new government will restore to the traditional leaders their pre-colonial jurisdiction to preserve African culture and value system. The senior traditional leaders will legally have the same status as a high court judge, while the other traditional leaders will have the same status as a magistrate. Citizens in rural areas will not travel to the cities for trials. Number 4, death penalty and avenging spirit. In the event of murder, the murderer will die in accordance with the law and the state will compensate the family of the victim for failing to protect the citizen. And that compensation will support a new namesake of the deceased raised through an uncle from the family, and no girl child or anyone will be handed over to the victim family as compensation, which is a violation of women's rights. The ZANU-PF government wants to abolish the death penalty so as to cover for their political murders. And besides, the abolishment of the death penalty is not coming from the general population. Number 5, penalty for gender infections. Infecting another party with gender diseases shall cause the guilty party to pay heavy compensation. And so before two citizens elect to mate, they must avail infection certificates to each other, agree to mate with full knowledge of the other party's health status. Number 6, crimeless state. The new law will create a crimeless state and citizens will not invest a penny in securing their properties. When going on a journey, all they need to do is to close their doors only to ensure that stray dogs and weather elements will not disturb their properties. The motivation for crime is not only out of necessity, as a result of hunger and poverty, but environment. A hungry man will steal to eat if he is sure that no one is watching or that no one will catch him after the theft. If the hungry man understands that people are watching, or he will be identified even after committing the crime, he will not choose to do the obvious stupid thing of stealing to expose self, but will do the right thing. Ask and thou shalt be given. In view of the above, the new government will use a combination of modern policing methodologies and tradition to detect criminals of crimes committed in the absence of witnesses. People are committing crime today because it is profitable to steal. A citizen steals 5-year salaries from his employer and is jailed for 2 years and comes back to invest the process of theft, and he makes a profit of 3 years salary. But with Mhosva Inoripwa Ubadalo Justice System, if a citizen steals 5-year salaries, will be required to pay back double, and no one will attempt such an obvious loss-making venture. Abortion law. The new government will allow abortion only to pregnant women who were also aborted by their mothers during gestation. And so if a woman was not aborted, will not be allowed to abort in pregnancy, including rape pregnancies, because the child born is a total angel, and different from the rapist, the thug, and cannot be penalized by a civilized world for the crimes of another person. And if the mothers dislike such children, the president will adopt them at birth so that the mother will not see those angels. Number 8, gender exploitation of women. To reduce premarital sex and exploitation of women, all women who will be rejected by their partners before marriage will claim damage in the event of premarital consensual gender interaction or sex. If you really love her, marry her first. Too many women are crying after having been taken for a ride. Number 9, eradication of sugar daddies. The new government will eradicate sugar daddies within 1 year in office by trapping sugar daddies using monitored teenage girls and then suck all the sugar out of these perverts so that without sugar, no child will look at them. Lobola law. Lobola will be regulated and any excess thereof will be taxed, and half of which will be returned to the groom to encourage them to report lobola violation. Lobola was only small customary token whose negotiations bound two families together. But now daughters are being auctioned. Lobola will not be outlawed. It is part of Africa. Gunless society. Zimbabwe will be a gunless society. Not even a presidential bodyguard or a bank with cash in transit will carry a gun, except for a soldier on national duty. In a gunless society, citizens will be safer as a collective than if a few of them were licensed to own guns. Should a citizen pick a gun to rob, he will have signed his death warrant, and a crack team of snipers from the National Army will be deployed to effect the death shot. No sport hunting in Zimbabwe. Sport hunting in wild animals will be outlawed in Zimbabwe for all animal categories, bearing in mind that American, European, and Asian tourists are coming to Africa to view wild animals because the founding fathers and mothers lived in harmony with animals, while overseas they killed their animals to extinction, and we will not allow that to happen in Africa, the continent of plenty. And without animals, we will be the very base of the species pyramid. Anti-poaching law. The new government will not spend a penny on anti-poaching security. The national parks will not be guarded against poaching, but a noose will be put in place in the form of rhino horn and elephant tusk trading tariff around the necks of especially the Asian market, among others, of such commodities, as long as the rhino horn and elephant tusk are still on demand in those markets. Research on marijuana. Without encouraging the smoking of marijuana by citizens, the government will sponsor research on the use of marijuana in Zimbabwe branded medicines. If you like the CKD campaign and share its philosophy and objectives, information on donations and bank details are available on the site at sites.google.com/site/CKD campaign. With the level of suffering that the citizens are enduring, record unemployment, corruption, nepotism, no homes, no money, potholed roads, dirty water, uncollected garbage, busted sewer, among other problems, delivered to the citizens by ZANU-PF and the opposition as the collective vote, it will be a disaster if citizens were to vote for the existing polity and not themselves in 2018 election. They would have sold themselves into political slavery. 2018 election will be a citizen redemption election from political abuse. Oh, politicians, yes, they rob I and sold I to the depth of poverty minutes after I vote them into political power. And are you satisfied with the life you are living? I am not. And remember, for the sake of the great Zimbabwe, I will not rest until normalcy is restored. Ndatenda, nyabonga, ndankenda, shukran lakum, tudagaba, merci beaucoup. I thank you.